So this week I want to talk about the 16 sexual assault lawsuits that have been filed against Houston Texans quarterback DeShaun Watson. So all of us who follow sports and follow NFL football probably have seen all of the media surrounding DeShaun Watson and these very serious sexual assault lawsuits. And now they have gotten up to 16 lawsuits that have been filed against him, civil lawsuits, alleging everything from inappropriate touching, improperly exposing himself to these masseuses, as well as even alleging that he forced one masseuse to give him oral sex. First things first, I think we should really try to practice pause when it comes to these allegations. And yes, they're very serious, but I think it's important to hear both sides, hear all of the evidence, look at all the affidavits before we really pass judgment on DeShaun Watson as well as any of the alleged victims. So the first question I really have is, do these 16 women, do they know one another? Or did they know one another before these lawsuits were filed? If these are 16 separate women who had no connection to each other, didn't know the other was going to be bringing these cases, that shows or tends to show a pattern of conduct potentially of Mr. Watson, especially since I believe there are some affidavits from these plaintiffs as well. Basically, they're all swearing that these acts did in fact occur at the hands of Mr. Watson. On the other end, DeShaun Watson's lawyer has already came out basically saying that his client is innocent of these allegations. In fact, he's already started attacking one of the potential lawsuits, saying that they believe one of these Jane Doe plaintiffs tried to strong-arm DeShaun into basically paying $30,000 in hush money, and that this person admitted that it was a consensual encounter. So we're already hearing some conflicting accounts of what happened, and Mr. Watson's lawyer saying that puts into doubt all 16 of these lawsuits. Now, whether that is the case or not, we'll see. It's also interesting to point out that the lawyer that DeShaun Watson chose does civil work, but he made his name doing criminal work. I think that's interesting because the lawyer for the 16 women said he's going to go to the district attorney's office to, send forward these affidavits to see if they're going to bring charges against Mr. Watson. So I think it's interesting that he chose a very high-powered lawyer, Mr. Watson, but this person does civil work and does criminal defense work. And then lastly, I think it's interesting the timing of a lot of these lawsuits. Now, there may have been some negotiations going on before this went out into the public's view, but it's very interesting the timing of this because DeShaun Watson had been requesting a trade from the Houston Texans. He had been demanding it, and apparently the lawyer for the plaintiff and the owner of the Houston Texans, they're acquainted somehow. Now, we don't know how close that relationship is, but the conspiracy theorists out there are saying, well, are they in cahoots? Is all of this being manufactured to try to devalue DeShaun Watson as a football player so that it's going to be impossible to trade him, and they're going to have to basically keep him on the Houston Texans, which is somewhere he does not want to play at. Again, whether that's true or not, again, that we don't know that, but I would say, again, practice pause, let's hear all of the evidence, and then we can kind of make a decision in the court of public opinion.